Okay, so Madison Square Garden and Michigan teams becoming a nightmare scenario of sorts as Rutgers loses to Michigan State at the Garden 82-74. This season, for all intents and purposes, is thrown away. Remember last year, Michigan State comes to the Garden. We were 16-7. Mag gets hurt, and we lose the last 7 out of 8, and we missed the tournament. And then there was the game during the COVID year against Michigan where we were about to take the court, and this was a big thing, a big season for us, and we didn't get to play the game. Nonetheless, we lose 82-74. Game might have not, it wasn't as close as it might have seemed. Once again, we finished down the stretch. We made 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 shots for the second game in a row. But you got the feeling halfway through the second half that Michigan State was pulling away, and they were the better team. If not for Jordan Durkak, this wouldn't even been a game at all. We'll get to all that in a second. Once again, we take the lead. It's like 10-3. Second game in a row. Can't handle prosperity. Becomes a nip-and-tuck battle during the first half, and Michigan State goes into the half leading 35-32. But Michigan State 17-2. They're 8-0. The big dogs in the Big Ten. We're now near the bottom, only ahead of Washington, I believe, and Nebraska. But Nebraska's like 12-7. So, they may be a half a game behind us in the Big Ten, but they do have a winning record. We are now 10-10 and 3-5 in the Big Ten. And that puts us technically third from the bottom, but we're going to be taking up the basement. So we didn't have Dylan Harper in the starting lineup. That's not why we lost. I guess he's still nursing a bit of an ankle. He wound up with 6 points in the starting lineup again. It was Jay Whale, Ace, Dylan Grant, Lathan, Tyson Acuff. And we've been going with that rotation, and even though some of the new starters, Lathan and Tyson Acuff, haven't been real productive, it's kind of worked until it hasn't. Now we've lost a couple in a row. But it's yet another rotation that it's just not working. And if you see with Pike, he just can't find the right combination. Early, it was the bench that just couldn't get the points. Not the guys, terrible players, but the productivity wasn't there, at least after the first couple games. Bench was a non-factor. Today, the starters were a non-factor. They had a grand total of 15 points in the first half. I think Ace had like 9 of the points. If not for Durkak, today would have been a complete disaster. He had 26 points. What was he? 7-11 shooting. 4 for 7 from 3. 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Without him, we would have been like 5 for 25 from 3, which is, 25%. And we were at 20% from 3 for a good chunk of the game. And, he made some shots down the stretch. Made the game seem a little closer than it was. Michigan State bench, 50 points. 50 of the 82 points. We're just really inconsistent. I've said this a million times, bitched about it a lot. We're just really erratic, really inconsistent. From night to night, it's always something else. Ace almost had a double-double, 18 points, 9 rebounds. But he was only 4 for 17 shooting. Can't win when your big guy is shooting, 23%. But he was 8 for 8 from the free throw line, so he had a good game. Gets him back over 60% in free throws. He was in the 50s before this game. Nonetheless, let's get to some of the game, the box scores, some of the stats. Dylan Grant, after a slow start, he had 1 point in the first half. And I was like, okay, he's reverting to form, or at least not going to have the kind of game. And he's been solid, getting 7, 8 points tonight from a guy that nobody thought you'd get any productivity out of, at least at this early part of his career. He gets 9 points, 5 rebounds. Okay. I mean, you couldn't expect much more than that out of Dylan Grant. Lathan starting is just not, it doesn't seem like it's sitting well with him. He hasn't been productive in his starts. He gets a lot of fouls, got an early foul today. He had 3 personal fouls today. Had to have some limits on his playing time. 6 points, 2 rebounds, and assists. Not super productive. Dylan Harper at 6 points, no rebounds, no assists in 14 minutes. Continues to struggle from the free throw line. 2 for 4. Jay Will had 4 points. Tyson Acuff continues to struggle. 3 points, 1 for 6 in field goals, 1 for 5 from 3. And it's disappointing. We have guys that we know can score. Zach Martini, PJ Hayes, Tyson Acuff. And they have a game, they think, okay, this is going to propel them forward. We're going to get some momentum. And it stops right in its tracks. But I talked about in the last video with Bowley being out, guys are going to have to step up or get thrown into the fire. Bryce Dortch being one of them, Zach Martini. Today, 0 points between them. Dortch had 1 rebound, 1 personal foul in like 3 minutes. I guess coach wasn't going to risk him getting into foul trouble early. Zach, 0 points, 0 for 5 from 3. After doing pretty well in his last game, we thought he might at least be on the road to maybe breaking out. He did have 2 rebounds, a total of 10 minutes. As I said, we were up 35-32 at halftime, but you were just kind of waiting. We were battling, but you were kind of waiting for the momentum to shift, and it kind of did. Midway through the second half, when Michigan State pulls out to a 10 and 12 point lead. And as I mentioned in the open, we're just really inconsistent and we're erratic and we can't put it all together. I've bitched all season about us not being able to play well as a team, not playing fundamentally well. Free throws, 3-point shooting, rebounding in the paint, overall shooting, blah, 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 blah. Turnovers. That killed us against Penn State. Today, we decided to flip the script and suck somewhere else. So today, we did really well in the turnover department. We only had 5. Michigan State had 15. You see that in the box score, and you're like, all right, we got a shot here. We probably won. Steals. 10 steals to 2. But not surprisingly, we were out-rebounded by 10, 44-34. Michigan State, I think, is number 7 in the country at a +9 rebounding margin, so that's not a surprise. Michigan State also had 8 blocks. We had 2 blocks. And that, as I said, I think it was in the last video or the video before, we get out-assisted every game. We were out-assisted 19-9 in this game. And when you have guys like Ace, who never gets any assists, Dylan is much better at facilitating. And you have the support cast, turning the ball over, trying to force up shots, not fitting into the scheme very well. Not having those assists is going to impact how well you play as a team. It just does. After a good 3-game run where we had 49, 48, 49% field goal shooting, today was 33%. And without Durkak, it would have been 25, 26, 27%. We are consistently inconsistent. So as of now, we're only ahead of Washington and Nebraska. The most promising year, and I don't know, in forever for Rutgers sports, has turned out to be a bitter disappointment. It's gone up in flames. Between football going 7-6 and a year with a very favorable schedule that some prognosticators maybe had us going undefeated, or at least 10-2, knocking on the door of the football playoff. Basketball with 2 potential lottery picks. People had us penciled in for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Controversies with women's basketball, gymnastics, and the Pat Hobbs debacle. As I've said often, at least Pike and Coach Shiano will never embarrass us off the field or court. On the court or field, a whole nother story. There's not much else to say. We are who we are. You are who you are. Right now, we're very mediocre. We're a team that doesn't play well together and is too erratic and inconsistent to be able to put together a string against good competition. Next game is at 12-7 Northwestern. It's a good matchup, even matchup. It's a winnable game. Toss-up game, but it's winnable. But at this point, it doesn't even matter. After that, we got ranked Michigan, we got ranked Illinois, then 15-5 Maryland. That's not a good stretch. There's no good to come out of that. So what do we hope for? NIT? Have something to build on? Make a run in the NIT? I don't see it being in the cards. Even that seemingly out of reach. The most likely winnable games left: USC, Washington, Northwestern, Minnesota. And then we'd have to get a couple more wins against a pretty good team like Iowa, Maryland. Does anybody see that happening? It's not fun when you're looking forward to next year and maybe getting back to Rutgers basketball, just being grinders and defense, and people fearing coming into the rack again and having it be a grind, loud, spurred on by defense and 89th ranked classes. More like a Steve Peichel team. Can't even hope for wrestling. They got crushed by number 1 Penn State, 35-3. I don't know any hopes. I don't know if anybody had hopes that we'd be able to keep it close like we did against Ohio State. But Dean Peterson gets the only win against number 6 undefeated Luke Lillidahl. And then we go to Illinois. We wrestle against number 10 Illinois. So it's just really frustrating watching. So now we're watching Illinois pull ahead of us in football and wrestling. And basketball, by the way. But basketball, they're usually pretty good. Even wrestling can't get over the hump. Rutgers athletics. hasn't been a source of fulfillment and joy this year. It's a rocky experience, an up and down experience filled with hope just to be dashed. And I guess that what makes Rutgers fans special. Unfortunately, when it comes to national media and fans, they'll continue to paint us as big disappointments and kind of a joke. Maybe a new AD. No, that's probably not going to happen for a little bit yet. And no word on defensive coordinator for the football team. But, I'm not sure if either one of those things are enough to propel the program forward. I'm waiting for that day where we're top ranked again in our academic ratings. And at least with basketball and football, being ranked top 25, that would be really nice. Wrestling, we'll see what happens. They're usually in the mid to upper teens somewhere, but still can't get over that Big 10, top 10, top 15 hump. So it remains to be seen. Sorry there's not better news, but it is what it is. We're used to this as Rutgers fans. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Temperatures will not be... Boy, I got to tell you, I'm tired of waking up every morning looking at my phone, and it's 4 degrees, 5 degrees, but we should be able to get to 40 degrees on Sunday. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you the next time.